Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Good to Great. This is the podcast for women wanting to take their health, mindset, and business from good to great. I'm your host, Ash. You can find me over on Instagram at Coached by Ash Murph. And today we are joined with Becca's Day, or Rebecca, is it Dixon or Dickinson? I'm already butchered,
Dickenson.
butchered it
No,
on the
you're
intro.
good.
I love it. Anyway, we'll just leave that in. That's fine.
All
Welcome
good.
to the pod.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to jump into a bit of everything today. I really want to touch, I feel like a really cool backstory to this pod is actually how we met because we were both in what would you even call it? It was like a manifestation course
Yeah.
through Georgie Stevenson. And this was back in,
It
gosh,
must be like would it be like 5 years ago at least now, surely?
I don't know if it was that long ago. I was living in the UK, so I'm going to say it was like 4 years ago,
Okay,
2021.
maybe four. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is so crazy. So we were in this like group together. I was living in the UK, and then I think I just saw that you were in the UK and like something you posted, and I was like, oh my God, let's be friends. And then we've been friends on Instagram ever since. And I feel like I've literally watched you go through so much. Like it's so crazy. I feel like I've just like seen your whole life unfold before my eyes. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, for those of you who don't know you, don't follow you, give us a little bit of a background, like who is Becca? What does she do? What is she known for? Give it to us.
Yeah, so I'm Becca and I am the founder of Becca's Day, which is a platform centered all around healing and self development and sort of helping people. Well, it started off as a bit of a place, an outlet for me more than anything. I went through a pretty gnarly breakup and I was struggling to process it. And so I kind of started documenting my journey online and I had no followers, no one was watching me. It was just kind of a safe space for me because I didn't really know how to process stuff. And I thought, well, maybe if I get it out, it will be helpful. And people really related to that. There's a lot of unfortunately heartbroken people that are wanting to not be heartbroken anymore. And kind of as I moved through the journey of healing my heartbreak, there was kind of other things I discovered about myself because healing is very layered. And I kind of, as I've continued to move through that, again, people have related to it. There's a lot of people that, we all have very similar wounds. We all have very similar things that we want to kind of be better at. And we've created a really beautiful community over on Becca's Day, where it's just kind of people wanting to become more secure, wanting to build really full lives for themselves, kind of outside of a relationship and learning to not center a relationship and having it as a beautiful addition to your life, but not your whole life, because that was something that was a pattern I found myself exhibiting. And then when a relationship would break down, I'd lose myself and it was like wash, rinse, repeat. And then I'd not know who I was anymore. And so it's just kind of helping people find themselves, lead healthy and secure relationships, and become a bit more secure within themselves.
Yay. I love it. I actually, honestly, I feel like I've learned so much, even just through watching your content and even being in like the dating pool myself. Just, I feel like as you get older, you just get so much wiser and realize all of these things, like everything you just said, like I resonate with so much of like I used to like be with someone and I was like, oh my God, like this person is everything, they're my whole world. And even something like I massively noticed was I used to always date people with the idea of like if I started talking to someone, it was like, how can I make this person like me? And not like, do I like this person? Do I actually
Yeah,
want to be with this person? It was like, oh, they're interested in me. How do I make them like me and make sure that,
yeah,
they want to continue things? And then, yeah, as I've gotten older, matured more, and been a lot more like self-aware, I guess, it's like, oh, actually, no, wait, do I even like this person? Do I want to be with this person? Like, I don't want to change myself a single bit just to mold to someone else. Like, absolutely not. But I think a lot of people are still caught up in that. And even
yeah.
men I've dated have been like wanting that. And I've had two guys I was somewhat seeing. Both of them, I've said to them, like, hey, you know what? I'm actually not feeling this. Like, I don't want to. I feel like I've just dived straight into like sharing my
No,
like
go. I'm loving
tea.
it.
But
Go.
anyway, I'm like, no, I'm gonna share this. Um, two guys, both of them, I was like, like been on a couple dates with, like things were getting a bit more serious, I guess. And it got to a point where I was like, actually, you know what? Like, I'm not that interested. Like, I actually just don't like them. Like, they're really nice people. We get along well, but like romantically, I don't want to continue dating you and I don't see a life with you. Like, I don't see you as the father of my children. So, what's the point of continuing this any further?
Yeah.
And two of them in particular were like fighting at me of like, what can I do to, make you like make this work and whatever. And I've literally said to them, like, hey, like, you deserve someone that wants to be with you. Like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't want to make me want to be with you. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, you don't deserve that. I don't deserve that. Like, I really hope
Yeah.
that you can find someone that really sees you the same way you maybe see me. Like, that's only fair. And it's so crazy because it's like, yeah, so many people go through life with that exact like output, I think, of how do I like mold myself to fit the
Yeah.
idea of this person and who they want to be and stuff. So I guess like how did you sort of come about? I know you talk a lot about like the different attachment styles and all of that. Is that
Yeah.
something you sort of learned throughout your like own sort of healing journey? How did that sort of come about that you ended up diving into that?
Yeah. So I think hindsight is definitely a beautiful thing in that looking back on my journey, I started noticing that, and I didn't know that it was my attachment style or that it was anxious attachment at the time. But looking back, when I was in my last relationship, I just felt like constantly unsafe. I felt constantly like I would wake up and there was like a knot in the pit of my stomach. Like I was anxious all the time. Like I'd been with this person for long enough that we were like starting to kind of build a life together, but yet I would be like checking to see if he'd text me, like why hasn't he texted me yet? And I'm like, I'm in my early 20s. I am in a long-term ish relationship. Like, why am I constantly feeling like I am on edge? And it just got to a point where I was like, this can't be what life is. Like, I can't live my entire life feeling this way around relationships. And I'm not saying that sometimes that isn't triggered by external sources, by people not treating you correctly. Like, of course, that plays a part, but a lot of this comes from you internally and how you regulate and how you kind of exhibit yourself in relationships and kind of interact in relationships. And so I didn't know that it was an attachment style thing at the time, but I booked myself in for some therapy. And it was kind of moving through that with my therapist that I started to identify that I had some core wounds that created and manifested in an anxious attachment style. And just for kind of clarity for everyone, basically attachment styles are the way that we show up to other people and relate to other people in close relationships. So usually they're shaped by our early experiences, how safe we felt when we were growing up. It might have been past relationships that have formed this for us, and they basically influence how we handle things like closeness, conflict, communication. And most people don't even really realize they have an attachment style. They just think this is how I am. And that's exactly what I thought. I was like, this is just who I am. Like, I need all this extra reassurance. I need all this extra validation. I need to be texting someone 24/7 to feel like they love me or I'm safe or, they're not going to leave me. And actually, that was one of the kind of four main attachment styles that manifested in me that was anxious attachment. And the four main styles are secure, anxious, avoidant, and then fearful avoidant, which is kind of a mix of the two. I don't talk a lot about any of them other than anxious and secure, because that's the work I have done, was to kind of heal my anxious attachment and become a secure attachment style. So when people ask me questions about avoidance, I can't really answer it, or I don't like to talk on it because I don't really have any experience with avoidant attachment styles or fearful avoidant, because that's not how I've always identified. But that's how it kind of came to light to me, was just thinking this can't be how I can't be 30 or 40 and still sat here like checking my phone to see if, I don't know, my husband has responded to me yet. You know, it's like, at what
Yeah.
point is there a line drawn in the sand where it's like, I need to feel okay with just being able to live my life, he lives his life, and then we come together on an evening and we catch up on the day, and you know, it's okay to kind of have a separate life outside of the relationship. And so it was sort of doing that work, identifying some deep kind of core wounds, which were things like a fear of abandonment, a fear that I'm hard to love, that love will always leave. And these are really, really common. Like, it's sad, but they are so common. Like, I mean, at the minute, I've sort of amassed over TikTok and Instagram, there's about 160,000 like followers or members of the community, as I like to say, that all relate and they get it. And people think that they're alone in it. They think they're the only ones that spiral, that overthink, that lose their mind when someone's left them on red. But they're not. It's really, really common. And it was just kind of moving through, starting to heal these wounds, that I identified that attachment style for me, and have been able to do the work over the last few years to kind of heal that and become more secure, and then thankfully find a healthy, secure relationship off the back of doing that work.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And I totally agree with what you said. Like, so many people have this belief of like, oh, but this is just how I feel. And they don't realize how common it is, but it is
Yeah.
actually so common. And I love the analogy of like, analogy, I don't think it's an analogy, it's just like a saying, I guess, but it's not about the event, it's about how you interpreted it. So for a lot
Yeah.
of us, like having those like fear of abandonment, all of those sort of, yeah, fears, I guess, come from like our childhood. And I think a lot of people will hear things like that and they're like, but I had a good childhood. And it's like, you can have an
Yeah.
amazing childhood. Like, so
Yeah.
did I. I wasn't, like chronically abused or anything. And
No.
it does not matter. It's not the event itself. It's as a child, how you experience that event and what you made it mean. So it could be something as small as you said that you wanted chocolate for dinner and mum said no, and you're like, oh my God, my mum hates me. She doesn't love me. She
Yeah.
won't do anything for me. And it's like all of these little events over your life can build up to having these beliefs about yourself and the way that you're perceived by others, loved by others, treated by others. And I think a lot of people just still, like, I know that you and I are in that kind of like space and in those communities where it's really like normalized, but I think there's a lot of people
Yeah.
out there that don't even necessarily realize they have these thoughts or feelings. And like you said,
Yeah.
they just think that that is normal. They're like, oh no, but this is normal to like text someone 24/7. Again, like when I was younger in my own dating experience, like I could not be with someone unless I was texting them all the time. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, that's my biggest ick. If I
Yeah.
am
I'm
seeing
like, I'm,
someone and they want to
yeah.
text me every day, I'm like, no, I don't want to text you. Like, I just want to see you and catch up. Like, it's the same as a friendship. Like, if I make a new friend, I'm not texting them 24/7. Good morning, good night, how's your day been?
Yeah.
Like, it's actually not necessary and it's not needed. But for so many people, I guess they don't even
Yeah.
realize that they need that to feel safe and that that's actually
Definitely.
not necessarily normal. Just because something's common doesn't mean it's normal. I say that all the time. How
I
would you
like, yeah, I love
say,
that.
yeah, how would you like, how do I word that? Like, what would you say to someone who's maybe unsure what their attachment style is, but sort of wants to learn more about it? Like, where would you direct them? What would you say, like, is the best place to sort of start, I guess?
I think that, well, it's funny that you touched on the like your the where these kind of stem from and the wounds that these stem from. And a lot of time, we obviously, the word trauma is used quite a lot, and it is very relevant. People do have like childhood traumas, but people will like, they'll say, I'll get comments on my videos that are like, but I wasn't abandoned, so why would I have an abandonment wound? And I'm like, well, I wasn't abandoned. I wasn't like left on the doorstep of a fire station of like as a child, and like, but it's inconsistency from like a primary caregiver is usually where that stuff stems from. And like you said, how you interpret that as a child and how your brain reads it is,
Yeah, it's
and a
being
lot of
abandoned when
people,
your mum's at the supermarket and she's like, I'm just gonna go grab something from aisle 6 and leaves you with the cashier and you're freaking out inside. In your head in that moment, holy shit, my mum has abandoned me. This person's gonna make me pay, and you're like having a literal
yeah,
anxiety attack as a child.
yeah. But you would, like, looking back on it, you'd probably laugh about that memory, about how that's manifested in you as an adult. You might not even realize. It
Yeah.
might take something like, it's frustrating because I wish that I could say, here is the blueprint to healing, and this is how you would heal your attachment style. But obviously, healing looks different for everyone, the timelines look different for everyone. And whether people love to hear it or not, I think that the best thing you can do for yourself, and where my healing journey started, was with therapy. To really, it's really challenging to unearth those core wounds, which is where this all starts. There's so many things you can do to help yourself in healing your anxious attachment style. Again, identifying your attachment style, that would probably be something to be done through therapy. But I guess it's looking at how you show up. Like, if you find yourself clinging on to people when think they're pulling away, that's a very typical anxious trait. But if you find that you want to run from a relationship when it starts getting heavy, when emotions start coming up, you want to back away and you want space, you want to avoid it, you might have an avoidant attachment style. So it's kind of doing a bit of research into the attachment styles and seeing where you fit. And it's not necessarily one size fits all. You might be a mix of a few. It's not necessarily always black and white. But for me, it was like, I never wanted to run from a relationship. I wanted to cling really hard onto that person. I wanted to get the validation, get the reassurance. I was terrified of people leaving me. So space was like the worst thing that you could say that you wanted to me. That was terrifying. But I always say to people, the content I post, I try and post as much as I can to help people move through it. I've created resources to kind of help people work through healing. But realistically, it has to start with identifying where this came from for you and starting to do the work to heal that. And it's not a comfortable thing to move through. It often is therapy, and that's not fun. But if I could prescribe every person in this world a weekly therapy session, I would do it. Because I think even if you're like, I feel happy, healthy, secure, I guarantee you there's something you could be working on. There's something that you could be better, you could learn to deal with things better, or whatever it looks like for you. I think there's a lot that we can always be like learning and evolving. The beautiful thing about being human is that we're always learning and evolving. And I think there's a lot to be said for learning new information and changing the way that you move, changing your opinions. I think that's a really endearing quality about a person, is to kind of, learn something, grow from it, maybe admit you were wrong, start to move differently. Like, I look at the way that I behaved in the past, and I didn't ever do anything terrible, but I'm like, it's not super flattering when I look back on that. I'm like, would I do that again now? No, I probably wouldn't. Like, where was my self-respect? Pick it up, like,
Yeah.
off the floor. Because it's
Yeah.
like you find yourself begging for the like you said, those guys were like begging you to stay. And that was one thing after I went through my last breakup, the amount of times I had to like stare at myself in the mirror and be like, you do not beg for someone to be with you. You do not beg for someone to, because why would you want that? Why do you
Yeah.
want to be with someone that you've had to beg to be with you? Like, that now, in hindsight, is like the ickiest thing. And I'm like, I would never again. But sometimes we have to, everything's a learning experience. It happens for a reason, and we learn and we grow and we become better. But that is, again, very common for people to do, is to kind of beg for someone to be with them, to stay with them. And it even happens in the early days of dating, because these guys may have seen potential and then thought, oh, I don't want to lose her. And so they're like, what can I do? But especially in the early days, like, what are you even fighting for?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like,
Literally, I'm like, wait, we barely know each other. Why do you want to be with someone that doesn't know you that well and is already saying, I don't want to be with you? Like, what do you
yeah,
mean? It's crazy.
yeah,
Um, I'd love to know, how did you navigate going into the current relationship that you're in? So for anyone that's like new here, doesn't know Becca, doesn't
yeah,
follow her, she's in a very
yeah,
secure relationship. well,
Yeah.
from what I see online.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, I'm very authentic,
I'm
so
just
there's
talking
nothing
on your
fake.
relationship
Like,
on your
yeah.
behalf. But yeah, how did you navigate your current relationship and sort of finding your feet in that after sort of doing this like self-healing work? Like, what did you sort of find different? Was there things, certain things you found more challenging? Sort of, yeah, how did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, so for me, like this is gonna sound, you're gonna be like, eye roll, but it was really easy because of all of the groundwork that I'd done leading up to meeting my current boyfriend. So there was a lot of saying no to the wrong people, making sure that like my standards and my integrity was really strong, because it would have been very easy to just like pick someone and be like, okay, well, I'd rather be with someone than be alone. So this
Mm,
is easier. And then you would probably end up unhappy or unfulfilled in some way. And so I think it was just as easy as it felt with William, it was there was a lot of it not being easy up to that point. There was a lot of having to kind of put myself out there, open myself up to rejection, because I'm not going to be for everyone else, but also everyone else is not for me. And the like, I feel like this takes us back to the manifestation Georgie days for us,
yeah.
but it's like the quicker you say no to the wrong things, it
Mm,
opens you up so much like more to the right things. And like, nothing that is meant for you will ever pass you by, and you can't hold on to something that isn't meant for you no matter how hard you try. Like, I
yeah.
genuinely, like, the universe has a plan for you. No matter how much you try and mold it and weave it, there's a plan for you. And so I think it was just, I knew that going into like any day I went into, but then like with Will, it was always a case of, I knew what my standards were, and like I wasn't prepared to waver on those. Like, there were things that I needed. I knew that I needed someone that could communicate with me in a healthy way. I knew I needed someone emotionally available. I knew, like, there was these things that I was like, they are my non-negotiables of what I need from a partner. And but there was also things that were like, but we can compromise on these things. Like, for example, if someone doesn't dress in a way that you love, you're like, okay, do I love it? Is it a deal breaker? No, probably not, because we can take him to Zara, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, there's got to be compromises on certain things. I think there's sometimes a lot of confusion over settling versus compromise, and I think compromise is a
Yeah.
really like essential part of any healthy relationship. Like, two adults trying to navigate life, build a life, cohabit, you're gonna have, there's gonna be compromise, probably every day you'll compromise on something. One of you wants a Chinese, one of you wants a pizza, so what do you compromise on? There'll always be give and take, but what you shouldn't do is settle, and I suppose compromise on the really important things that would long term cause you to be unhappy if those things continued. So if someone, like, you noticed they, I don't know, they were an avoidant attachment style, for example, and they ran away every time you tried to have a serious conversation with them, like, that's not going to work for me personally. I need someone that I can sit and have a mature conversation with, and we can come out of it and be like, okay, we're going to move forward in, this way. So I guess, as annoying as it is to be like, oh, there wasn't this one particular thing, I had just done like 18 months worth of spending time on my own and kind of, again, the cliched, working on myself, because I knew I wasn't ready to date. Like, I knew that I was not in a place where I was ready to put myself back out there. And even just the thought of like downloading an app, I was like, no, I'm not ready for it. But then when I started feeling like I was ready to dip my toe back into the world of dating, it was just making sure that my integrity, my standards, everything stayed high. I didn't make excuses for people's behaviors. When people show you who they are, listen. If their words and actions don't align, listen, because people will tell you anything that you want to hear, especially in the early days when you're texting someone and it's all
Mm-hmm.
exciting. People can be anything. But if, they're not showing up, because that was one thing. William and I lived like an hour and a half apart when we started dating. And I had my own place, and so it was just easier. Like, he came to me pretty much every single week he traveled without fail. Like, he might have been tired, he might have had a long week, like whatever it was, he showed up. And I was like, his words and his actions align, because he said he wants to see me, and then he shows up and sees me. And it's not
Yeah.
easy. He has to drive an hour and a half
Yeah.
on a Friday evening when he finishes work all the way to come and see me. And I'm not saying it has to always be like big gestures like that, but that to me was like, his words and his actions have always aligned. It wasn't just, oh yeah, I'll travel to the moon and back for you, baby, and then no, and then can't even get in the car to travel 10 minutes down the road. So it's kind of
Yeah.
making sure that the things that are important to you, you listen, because people will always show you who they are, and you can't change people, and you don't want to. You don't want to. You're not there to, we don't want to fix people or change them. Let them be who they are, let them show you, and then you kind of carry yourself accordingly.
Yeah. I love that. That moves on to my next question. After something you just said, I want to ask you. So you said you sort
Yeah,
of had a list of non-negotiables. You had like a really solid sort of idea, I guess, in your head by the sounds of
yeah,
it, of what you were and weren't willing to sort of settle for. And I feel like I hear this all the time from people. It's like, create a list of the men that you want
yeah.
and rah, rah, rah. Do you feel like you manifested your current relationship?
Oh my God, that's so interesting. Yeah, you know what? Now you say that, probably, because like I had a vision board, and like although I didn't have like I don't know. I'm trying to think. I can't think of any man in the world now that's like a good looking. Who is a good looking famous man? But I didn't like have some guy. I don't know, a young Leonardo DiCaprio slapped on my vision board, like hoping to manifest that. But I think about, the things in my head that I'd be like, oh, I'd love it if like I had a boyfriend who like wanted to take pictures of me without me having to ask, or supported me, because the like one thing was, I used to hide Becca's day from, like, I didn't hide it, but I didn't tell people about Becca's day when we started
Mm,
dating, because I was like, I need to feel this out. Like, it's a very vulnerable space for me.
yeah.
And I am putting myself out there, and I appreciate that comes with, stuff that comes with people seeing it, people criticizing it, whatever. But like the early days of getting to know someone, I'm like, Becca's day is very curated content for an audience. It's not my everyday life, in terms of like everything that I am is not shown on there. And so it's like, I didn't want people to see that and then judge me based purely on that, because dating Bex or Rebecca is very different from Becca's day. It's
Mic drop. I feel this so much. I think anyone that has an online presence and shares a lot of their life, like I completely agree. I remember this guy was asking for my Instagram and I was like, no. And then he literally went through and like found a picture of me on my dating profile with my marathon bib on. And he found my Instagram off the name on my bib. And I was like, if I've told you I don't want to give you my Instagram, like it's for a reason. But yeah, I know what you
yeah,
mean. It's like you share so much, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going into this knowing nothing about you, and you can find out so much about me. Like, even just that in
yeah,
itself, like that makes me uncomfortable. Like, I want to share
yeah,
with you parts of myself from me,
yes,
not from my social
yeah,
media.
yeah.
Anyway,
And I
sorry,
will
I cut
like,
you off.
no, no, totally. I will share Becca's day with you, like, and I will tell you about it when the time's right. But I think a lot of people would look at that and be like, well, there's videos of me crying and stuff, and they'd be like, well, is she healed? Is she over it? And I'm like, well,
Mm,
that video might have been from 6 months ago, but like,
yeah.
I create content to help people that are going through that now. So although I might not be in that moment right now, I was, and I've moved, and I'm helping other people move through stuff. And I like, exactly like that. I didn't want people to see that and then, you know, judge me based on that. I want you to judge me based on the information I'm going to give you at a pace I feel ready to give it to you. And so that was one thing that was massive for me, was I had so many people that would be like, think that it's weird, or they wouldn't get it. And I was like, okay, that's kind of sad, but then you're not the person for me, because Becca's day is a massive part of my life. It helps, well, now, like, tens and tens of thousands of people. And if you can't understand that and be supportive of it, then you're probably not my person. And that was like one thing, like, Will, from the start, like when I'm always nervous to tell people. And so when I told William, my boyfriend, that about it, he was like, I love it. was like, I love that you do that. I love that you have a business. I love
Oh,
that you hustle. I love that you put yourself out there. And since day one, like, he helps me make content. He is like the other side of the camera all the time. Like when I was setting up for this morning, he was like, "Do you need me to help you? Do you need me to help you set anything up?" Like
bless.
he helped me film everything for my self secure method masterclass. He like and that was something that was massive to me because I felt like I was sometimes a bit inauthentic when I was dating, in that I would kind of hide it from people because the wrong people would see it and judge it. And so
Mm,
that was like a big thing on my list, was like support Becca's day and support that side of me, and not think like, understand that as authentic as it is also like, it's a business. It's, it's not just I'm not sat here every day sobbing into my camera to like for content. It's not like that. So I think in terms of, I like to, because I believe in manifestation, girl. You know that we're manifestation
absolutely.
girlies. So I like to think that in kind of keeping my list, adding to it, changing it, dating intentionally, that I did manifest that into my life, and like that kind of healthy, secure love. But we know that with manifestation, so much of it is aligned action. And the aligned action that I was
Yes.
taking was to become secure in myself, because we know that like attracts like. So, how can I expect to attract a secure person if I'm not secure in myself? If I'm not putting that good energy and that good vibes out to the universe, I don't feel like I could have physically attracted the right kind of person for me, or a healthy, secure kind of person. So, I think the aligned action in that was working on myself, healing myself so I could be secure, and then ultimately kind of attract that back to myself in my current boyfriend.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of people, that's where they miss the mark of almost like, especially as females, I think we can become quite entitled of like, I want a man that does this and is emotionally available and X and Y and Z. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, babe, but what have you done? Like, where are you at? Because
Yes.
you gotta meet him there as well. And
Big
yeah,
time.
yeah. So I think a
I
lot of
think, yeah,
people
you're right.
miss
It's
that
very
mark.
easy to, for anyone, and from both sides. Like, oh, sorry, my light, I've got a little light and it keeps going off. So sorry. Um, I think with men, as like with both sides of the coin, it's like you can't say that you want all of these things from a partner, which is great. That is great. I love that you are clear on what you want from a partner. That's fantastic. That's like step one in, finding the right person. But if you're not putting that energy out there, like if you can't communicate in a healthy way, like if you know, get mad, you shout, or you walk away, or you can't have a healthy conversation, you can't expect someone else to give you that. Like it's a two-way street. Like you have to become the version of what you want to see in someone else. I absolutely believe that.
Absolutely, 100%. I love that so much. Okay, and then my last question that I ask everyone some variation of on this potty is,
Yeah.
if you had one piece of advice to go from good to great, maybe like if we focus on a relationship standpoint, what would it
Okay.
be? Or like,
Ooh,
well, not even
okay.
relate, like based on the topics we've spoke about today. So like
Yeah.
dating, relationships, being single even.
I think it's probably just like reiterating quite a lot of the stuff that we've touched on while we've been chatting. But for me, things changed when my self respect became stronger than my desire to be loved. And so
Just getting
that was
goosebumps.
like,
I love that.
I know, gal. That was the moment for me that things changed. I was so desperately looking for love in other people, and it was at the expense of myself, at the expense of my self-respect, begging, chasing, whatever that looked like. And as soon as you pick your crown up off the floor and put it back on, and you're like, actually no, like no, I'm not going to chase. I deserve to be chased. I am the prize. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
do the work. So yeah, I think that was the moment for me when like things really changed. Then I started putting myself first, putting my life first, building a full and beautiful life for myself, which kind of ultimately led me to be in the healthy headspace to attract the right kind of person.
Yes. I love that so much. And it's so funny how almost every single guest that comes on here, I feel like we have a conversation that somewhat relates around self-respect and like how important that is. So I love that you
Yeah.
said that because I'm just like, it's
Yeah.
all connected, guys. It's all
Yeah.
connected. If you take anything from my podcast, have the self-respect. We love it. Okay,
Absolutely.
where can we find you? I know you've got, is it a course that you run?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram. I am Becca's underscore day underscore. So Becca's day was taken. And then on TikTok, I am just Becca's day. And through my website, which is just beccasday.com, I have used my own experiences. So obviously, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a licensed clinician, but I have done a lot of the work myself and the proof in the pudding with my own kind of healing that these things work, and I've created some resources to help people move through healing their anxious attachment. So I have some like little guides, they're like 50 pages, just like activities, like, you know, journal prompts, things to help you work through healing your anxious attachment. And then I also have my masterclass, which is called the Self Secure Method, which is like, it's a big fat 6 week, 6 modules, like 6 guided videos, 6 workbooks, and we sort of go from like understanding the core wounds and where your anxious attachment comes from, moving to become more secure within yourself. And then at the very end in module 6, that's where we look at applying it to relationships, because becoming secure is a you thing. And then how you react within your relationships is like the byproduct of that and the last thing that we look
Mm.
at. But the first 5 modules are all kind of becoming secure within yourself. So that's, and that can all be found on beccasday.com.
I love that. I'm obsessed. And I feel like it's all like quite reasonably priced as well. I know you said like go to therapy. I'm like, some people just can't afford therapy. So if you can't afford therapy, this is the next best thing. And if you can afford
Thank you.
therapy,
Yes.
you can do this alongside your therapy to get even more out of it.
And you know what we'll do? So all of my guides, sorry, I got a bit of a tickle in my throat. All of my guides are, I've tried to make everything super, super affordable. So I know everyone's budgets are different, but they are all like less than £8. Like they are
Oh my
super
God,
cheap, because
that's
I
yeah,
want
like
people to be like,
$15.
I can get, yeah, I could get a coffee for the price that I could buy this guide, and you've got it
Yeah.
forever. You can come back to it. My self secure method, the masterclass, is a slightly higher price point because of the amount of value that comes in it. But how about we do a little like Ash Becca discount code for your followers, and we could maybe do like I don't know, I think we do something big, like let's do like a 30% off, and we'll give
Yes, I love
anyone that wants to give
this.
it a go. So it would be, it's £100, so that'd make it £70. So it would be like what, like about $140 for like
Yeah,
your
yeah.
community ish.
That's actually
Um,
really cheap for 6 weeks.
it is, and the I can't tell you like the amount of work that me and William, I have to give him credit where it's due, has put into that.
Bless.
But again, like therapy isn't affordable for everyone, and I want to make this
Yeah.
accessible, and I want people to be able to access this stuff, and they've got it for life, and there's a great community in there, the Self Secure Method community, that only the people that are in the Self Secure Method have access to. And I'm in there, my DMs are in
I
there. Like,
love
I don't offer any
that.
one-to-one coaching.
Yeah.
That's not, but that's as close as you can get, because my DMs are open, we chat about the Secure Method in the forums and stuff. So yeah, that's the place to be.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I will have everything linked in the show notes below for everyone. Thank you for coming on. Any last words?
Thank you so much for having me. And I just, even if people took away one little nugget of something today about themselves, one little iota of information, then I think we've done our job.
Yay. Agreed. I love it. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you and bye-bye.